Welcome to a regularly scheduled meeting of the Waterville City Council. There are agendas available on the table near the entrance or online at the city's website. Consent agenda items are routine items which are voted on in one motion and vote. Unfinished or new business items are voted on separately. Councilors will be given the opportunity for questions or comments, followed by citizens who must speak at the podium and identify themselves. Citizens will be allowed to speak one time per agenda item for up to 3 minutes. Citizens who do wish to speak on a topic that does not appear on tonight's agenda will have the opportunity to do so during the public comment section of the agenda for up to 3 minutes. So kicking us off tonight is Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next up, let's see, disclosure of conflict of interest. Do any councilors have a conflict of interest on any of the votes that they will take tonight? Councilor Beal.
On resolution 164, 2025, my son's on that list, and I figure I should vote for him.
Okay, fair enough. Noted. Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none. Okay. Moving on to City Manager Report.
Thank you, Mayor. Council had previously had a discussion about amending the charter that would allow the council to appoint an unopposed candidate with no declared write-ins. And I just want to let you know why it isn't on the agenda. Years ago, the city changed the write-in rule to be 60 days, which before the election, which conflicts with the state law, which is 70 days. So the state says if you don't follow the section in Title 21, then you need to follow the section in Title 30A, which, if you follow that, it allows for write-ins, which can be counted if the number exceeds the candidate count. So the city cannot eliminate an election where there's a possibility that a write-in could be the winner. So that's why it's not on. So there will be a resolution on a future agenda to rescind that 60-day rule before an election to comply with state law. As a reminder, the city's hosting a housing summit on September 18th at the Green Block. The event is free and you can register online at the city's website. Last week, the council and I were invited to a presentation by David Green, the president of Colby College, which he reviewed this report the college had done on the college's economic impact on the city, region, and state. Colby supported $1.3 billion in economic activity in the greater Waterville area over the past 5 years. It's an interesting study with lots of statistics on jobs at the college, student spending, visitor spending, construction jobs, and vendor spending, plus the impact of arts and athletic events. And it can be accessed on the college's website. And finally, the city assessor has completed the tax commitment. Tax bills will be out shortly, and the mill rate has been set at $17.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Any councilor comment or committee reports? Seeing none. Any public comment? Any members of the public have any comments that they would like to make on any item that does not appear on tonight's agenda? Anyone online, Patty? Thank you. All right. At this point, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor? All right, wonderful. Can I get a motion to read by title only, please?
Motion to read by title only.
Second.
And all those in favor? Thank you very much. Moving on to old business, resolution 157, 2025.
Approve use of funds from the downtown TIF for paving the concourse.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes. I did not hear back from, well, I did hear back from the broker, but he wasn't able to offer anything new, other than that the owner and he are in discussions, but they just hadn't made any progress because of schedules and people being away. So I asked him today if there was an update, and he said nothing to report. So I'd ask that if you'd table it to September 2nd meeting.
Okay.
I'll motion to table it to September 2nd.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay. Moving on to Order 161, 2025.
Accept the donation from Prime Financial for the purchase of benches within the downtown.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in,
Yeah.
can I get a roll call, please?
Counselor Gilly,
Yes.
Counselor Klepak,
Yes.
Counselor Green,
Yes.
Counselor Krigbbaum,
Yes.
Counselor Beal.
Yes.
The vote is 5 in favor and 0 opposed.
All right, and next up is Order 162, 2025.
Amend the taxation ordinance, Chapter 250, Section 250-2, quarterly due dates.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none. Can I get a roll call, please?
Counselor Gilly,
Yes.
Counselor Klepak,
Yes.
Counselor Green,
Yes.
Counselor Krigbbaum,
Yes.
Counselor Beal.
Yes.
The vote is 5 in favor and 0 opposed.
All right, moving on to new business, Resolution 164, 2025.
Appoint youth to the Waterville Youth Council.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Bill, point of clarification, please. We have 4, if one abstains, is that, we still good, we can vote with the 4? Okay, perfect, just want to make sure.
Yeah, someone abstaining is considered to be present for purposes of having a quorum.
Perfect, thank you very much. Okay, just wanted to clarify, I didn't want to do anything illegal and have to walk this back, but, okay. Yes, so second year of the Youth Council. I see a few of the folks here tonight, which is exciting. You know, we had a great first year. Obviously, internal things, we're going to do some things different. We got Spencer on board this year, myself and Jessica Graham. We had a few applicants that saw the value and really liked what we did last year and have applied again, and we've got a host of new folks. So it's going to be a good mix, it's going to be a good year, and we're really looking forward to it and kind of excited about it. So that's where we're at here. So we're going to kick us off with our orientation. I believe that's next Tuesday, and then we'll get right into our meetings and start having some representation here. So great. Any other comments or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? Okay, thank you very much. All right, moving on to Resolution 165, 2025.
Approve cooperative cost-sharing agreement with the Maine Department of Transportation and accept a contribution in the amount of $200,000 to fund a portion of the Quarry Road Trails Phase 1 project.
Move to adopt.
Second.
All right, who, Matt, is this you? Yeah, Andy, sorry, okay, great, Andy, please. I can see you back there. Welcome.
So if you read the memo, the total project is roughly 1.6 million, but that includes drainage, parking lots, detention ponds, that are for the next phase, which hopefully will be the building and the road all the way out to the paved road. So the MDOT has approved $200,000 for the road portion. So I took the road portion out, and you can see the numbers, like $678,812, just proportionally. So that money has to go toward that road section, which is fine, because that, that all has to be done, so. Anyone's got any questions? That's all I really have.
Council Klepak.
I haven't been out to Quarry Road since sometime in mid-July. How is the work proceeding?
Well, you wouldn't recognize it. So the yurt has been moved over to the right if you drive all the way in to the far right. To the left of the parking lot, that whole area has been stripped. Most of the drainage, under drain work has been done. Most of the storm drain work has been done. So that's what's being done. The whole area that will get the plastic pervious pavers has that area gets a foot of gravel. That gravel has been put in a special blend that we came up with, sandy gravel, to let it drain. That gravel is put in, not the pavers yet, not the plastic, the grid system yet, but the gravel has been put in. So right now they're finishing up the pipe, which by the end of this week or sometime next week, all the under drain and storm drain will be done. Then they'll go on and do the ponds, there's 4 detention ponds, and then the gravel. I would think by the latter part of September, they should be wrapping it up, really, if the weather holds, which it has. The site is completely clay, and if you've ever been around clay when it gets wet, it's not good, but it hasn't rained, and it's just been a gift to the contractor to get done what to have that type of weather. The rest of us hate it, but it works out great for what they're doing.
And those retention ponds, where are they? Are they?
3, if you drive in, there's a parking area that's near the maintenance building where the groomers are and stuff. There's one in that area, in that first parking lot. And then you'll drive down through where the little lift building is for the downhill run. And then as you're driving still and further, the next 3 are right along the left-hand side of the road. So all the drainage from the parking area will all come down through those 3 ponds. And their filter, their
Infiltration
detention
ponds.
and filtration. So it takes out the particles, and it also cools the water. And then eventually they all run into the drainage way, which will run into Missalonsky Stream, so.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, any other questions, concerns, comments?
I guess
Yeah.
I have one, which is just to express thanks to the Friends of Quarry Road, who raised most of the money for this, and including from foundations that have allowed us to do this work. It really wouldn't be possible on the city dime. So I appreciate this partnership very much.
All right. All those in favor? Okay, thank you very much. All right, moving on to Resolution 166, 2025.
Approve request to transfer unassigned fund balance from Parks and Recreation Browntail Moth Mitigation Account to Reserve Fund.
Move to adopt.
Second.
All right, Matt, yeah.
Right, so these are, just to confirm, these are unused funds from last year's Browntail Moth budget, $25,000. And the reason is, I hope you reviewed the memo. Over the last decade, we've all seen an uptick in extreme weather events, invasive species, things of this nature. We don't have anywhere in the budget, in our budget, between Parks and Recreation and Public Works that has funding for events like this that that aren't planned for. So the money is there, and we would like to transfer it over to an account that rolls over. So if nothing happens this year, and hopefully it doesn't, it carries on into the years to come. Kind of a safety net. Hoping we don't have to use it, but when and if we do, we'll ask for your approval on contractors to come in and remediate any situation that happens to come up. So happy to answer any questions.
Council Klepak.
I don't actually have question, I have, first of all, a word of thanks to Matt and particularly his team for managing the brown-tailed moth outbreak that we had it started in Waterville really around 2019, and then proceeded for about 3 years until it tapered off. I think Waterville had a more proactive and robust response than any other municipality in the state. And so, I'm very proud of the work that you and your team did. That first year was remarkable, having them go out and provide treatment to all affected trees on public property, and then reaching out to any private citizen who wished a similar resource for their property. That was a pretty remarkable year. The continuance of the pole pruner checkout at the library is not affected by any of these things. I believe they still have that equipment for any citizen who wishes to avail themselves of that equipment at any point. And then finally, I would say that just remind the council of how bad it was during those couple years. This has been a problem that has come and gone over the years. I've had, back when if this was at the peak, I certainly was getting needles from my other counselors for giving long-winded lectures about the problem. But I'll remind you, in the year 1924, 98%, I think it was 1924, 98% of the municipal budget was spent on brown-tailed moth mitigation, right? It was bad. They paid private citizens by the pound for collecting brown-tailed moth nests. This is a problem that will come back, and unless some massive effort is undertaken at the state level, and probably it's going to take more than the state level, it will come back to Waterville. I will not be on the council at that point, and so I would just, for those of my fellow colleagues here who are on the council, I strongly urge you to accept the resolution here. Is it a resolution? Yeah, that's in front of us, because you are going to need those funds, and it's much easier to have money that's already in place, that's already been allocated for this kind of thing, than to do the kind of lift that we did do back when, that was in 2020, I guess. During COVID, we were able to allocate, I think the first year we set aside $100,000, which was remarkable because on the heels of that, the state got itself together and put together $100,000 for the whole state. And so, that was amazing that the council was able to do that at that time. And it was effective. It was very effective. So putting this money that we didn't have to use this year because the problem, invasive species wax and wane, and but the environmental cues that lead to brown-tailed moth outbreaks are going to be getting worse as climate change driven variations in our weather patterns here will make the situation more favorable for brown-tailed moth. So there will be severe outbreaks again in the future. I cannot predict when, no one can, but putting that money aside now for then, it may not be enough that year. It will certainly not be enough for more than a year when that happens, but at least we will not be caught flat-footed. So, and Matt and his team, there is some institutional knowledge about how to address the issue. We have a great partnership with Bartlett Tree. They have an understanding of how to manage the situation. I'm not moving, so I'm here in town. But the money is helpful, so that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Green.
I just want to thank Councilor Klepak for his leadership in this area. We are extremely fortunate to have had you flag this issue and protect Waterville from the worst impacts. It could have been much, much worse. And also for the work you've done with the Community Resilience Committee, which has done a lot of planning for future environmental hazards and vulnerabilities for Waterville. I sincerely hope that the work that has been done by that committee will continue in some fashion, whether on the city staff or with a different type of committee. But I'm certainly in support of this, moving these funds to an environmental impacts fund. I think that we probably need to do more of this as as each year progresses. And for people who may not have the memo in front of them, I just want to note that these funds are designated for environmental impacts that include, but are not limited to, brown-tail moth, emerald ash borer, Dutch elm disease, beech leaf disease, white pine needle damage, and damage to public property caused by natural events, including wind and rain. So it's a broad, it is a great thing to have this money ready to go when we need it. And I just have one quick question. Will these funds be available for Public Works as well as Parks and Rec to use?
I would anticipate them for both departments, yeah.
I would like to see that. I think it makes sense. So,
Yes.
great. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Anyone else? All right, all those in favor? All right, thank you very much. Moving on to Resolution 167, 2025.
Amend Littlefield's Construction LLC's local paving and sidewalk project, contract number 1, 2025, to include City Hall site improvements for parking lot, concrete apron, and south side stair, concrete reconstruction.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Okay. Hi.
Hi, me again.
Yes.
So the scope of work is the parking area all along Front Street and along Costongoy Square, the paved area. And then it turns to concrete around the stairways, and it will butt up against what the new concrete work that Kobe had done, curb to curb. And something that I wanted to do back when we did Main Street, and I was going to have Crooker do them as part of a change order that project, but they got behind schedule, and we had all we could do just to get that project done. So anyway, it never got done. So I'd like to just, instead of putting it out to bid, I just know the unit prices that Littlefield had were for doing road work, and that's typically the cheapest paving you're going to get when they can line a paver up, and they've agreed to do these for that same unit prices. I just know we won't get those prices putting it out to bid, a competitive bid, so that's what I'd like to do. And the money will be coming from, that was already appropriated in the budget and approved, so.
Okay. Any questions? Any comments? Any concerns? Seeing none. All those in favor? Okay, moving on to Resolution 168, 2025.
Approve bid award to Detectachem Incorporated for the purchase of an Apex Raman spectrometer for portable, non-contact drug and narcotic detection.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Good evening. So this proposal is for the purchase of a Raman spectrometer for portable non-contact drug and narcotic detection. This is going to be critical for the officer safety or safety of our officers, because historically right now, when we have to test suspected narcotics or illegal drugs, the officers definitely have to handle them and actually have to open the packaging that they're in to take a sample out to put into a test kit to test that. So that opens up especially with fentanyl, but all of them, a lot of safety issues for the officer if they were to come in contact with that. So this unit, the officers don't have to handle the packaging. It can actually test most of the narcotics through the packaging without touching it or opening it. So the significantly safer than what we've historically been doing. We did put this out to bid. We did receive back 3 bids. The police department is proposing that we move forward with the Detecticam Apex unit. Full disclosure, it is a little over $800 more than the lowest bid. I did reach out to a number of colleagues that have used both, and what we're getting back for information and what I believe to be true, the Apex unit is significantly more user-friendly. It's about the size of a cell phone, can go in a pocket. The other units are quite a bit larger. And I talked to a couple agencies in Maine that use or have used both, and they have some issues with some of the other units coming up with false positives. So the Apex unit actually has the fewest of those and is the easiest to use as far as the end user.
All right, that's fantastic. Any questions, comments? Councilor Klepak.
I was going to make a comment. You're kind of blowing my mind. Back in the dark ages when I was in graduate school, I used a Raman spectrometer myself, and it was the size of an oven, and it sat on a countertop. The thought that you could put one of those things portably in your pocket and use it in the field is
It's about the size of an iPhone now. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
You just completely blew my mind with that. It's pretty exciting to think that the humble town of Waterville is able to have what, to me, feels like pretty space-age technology. It's kind of incredible. So,
and I think in the long run, it is going to be less expensive because the test kits are one-use throwaway. They do cost money. So I actually should have done kind of analysis to find out how long it would take to make that back. But it won't. There's no cost going forward. All of the library updates for if the drugs change, those are all updated for free. So for the life of the unit, the cost is the cost. So yep.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Good stuff. All right, any other comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Wonderful, thank you very much. Okay. First order of business, I think, for this one, I need an amendment on this. After further review, this cannot be a resolution. It needs to be an order. This is 169-2025.
I believe before we can amend it, Mayor, we need to put it on the floor.
Perfect. Okay, we'll do that then. Then we're moving on to Resolution 169-2025.
A motion to adopt.
That would be great.
We need a motion.
Move to adopt.
Thank you.
Yes, second.
Thank you. Okay, now, everything that I said prior to that now takes effect. So we do need to amendment to change this from a resolution to an order, which would then make this for 2 votes. So,
Move to change from resolution to order.
Second.
any discussion? All those in favor? All right, thank you. Okay. Any discussion with regard to this as far on the council? This is, yes.
Well, I would say a few words in favor of it.
Please.
Yeah. I got on the city council 5 years ago with the hope, the intention of fixing the pedestrian access underneath the North Street train trestle and improving the safety of the Marston Road. To do that, I needed to have personnel, community development coordinators, or whatever title you want to give them, basically people that can write grants and work with government agencies and other entities in the city to make things happen, right? I needed personnel to be able to do that. And it was about getting city managers in place who could attract that kind of personnel. So to the long sort of maddening chain of dominoes to make the things happen that I wanted to happen required a lot of attention. Basically, the main theme of the last 5 years of me being on the city council has been trying to get the personnel for that chair and then the other chairs subordinate to that in the city and get that in place. And we're still in that process. We're still in that process. We've had failed searches over the, since we lost Brian Cainrath this spring. We went through cycles of search that did not come up with a personnel that was amenable, that was acceptable, to everybody on the council. And we still are looking for that. The fact that there is this requirement is a relic of a different time. It's a relic of a different time. Obviously, elected officials such as ourselves need to live in the neighborhoods that they represent. However, city managers it's a professional role, and for us to be able to attract the kind of personnel that Waterville needs, we need to give ourselves the greatest advantage. So anybody out there, I don't know how many people watch the recordings of this, how many people in Waterville are paying attention at all, but when this comes up, if it passes here today, which I hope it does, I'm sure it will, I hope, I urge every person who lives up to their civic responsibility of voting to vote in favor of this change to the charter so that we may attract a city manager that is worthy of the needs of Waterville, so that when other counselors, maybe the counselor who's going to sit in this seat after I'm done, will be interested in solving those problems for Ward 3 or whatever other issues arise in any of the other wards, that we have the kind of personnel that this city needs to solve the problems that we have, right? And actually push us forward. It's acutely dependent upon attracting quality personnel. Recruiting and retaining individuals that have the talents, the drive, the ability to enact the vision that we craft for them to execute. So please, if you're listening out there, Waterville, go to the polls and vote in favor of this referendum item when it comes up, so that you can help us get a city manager that is going to be an effective executive for our initiatives, our needs. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you. Councilor Green?
Yes, I agree with everything that Councilor Klepak just said. Just picking up on the word relic, for those of you who didn't hear our discussion last week, I believe there are only 2 communities in the state that require this, and the other one is Augusta. So times have changed, people move. There are lots of reasons why it's not necessary to be a resident of the city, which you serve as a public employee. So please know that, and I second Councilor Klepak's plea that you go to the polls and vote for this. I think it will immensely improve our chances of finding a robust applicant pool for the next city manager.
Anyone else, Council? I agree. Listen, I think that what we see here and what the council is going to, this will be one of 2 votes now that this is in order. So this just simply passes it. But I want to read the line that, you'll see, right? So the question is, shall the city approve the charter amendment reprinted below? It will put the section in there of what's in the charter now. This is the change, right? The city manager may reside outside of Waterville while in office only with the approval of the city council, right? So we're not abandoning the idea of the fact that we want the city manager to live here. That is the preferred choice. However, again, like Councilor Klepak said, in this day and age, things happen. Municipal managers are, you know, they're not a youthful group, you know what I mean? So, you know, they have experience. They live in places. They have spouses who work in different places, and just to simply uproot to move here, you know, might not be, you know, in the best interest of the entire family unit. So this gives us the ability to have a candidate who doesn't mind, you know, driving in and doing the good work that we need to have done. So, great. And with that, I will ask for all those in favor.
Kathy's on. We have to.
Oh, good evening, Kathy. Welcome. She's on mute. Oh. Do you have anything to add?
Hello, sorry.
No, welcome. No, I'm glad you were able to join us. Thank you very much. So I'm not sure when you joined, but we are on 169-2025, and that's the referendum for the election. So I don't know if you have any comments with regard to that.
No, I think I think I've already read and heard everything. I think I'm good.
Great. All right, well, with that, all those in, oh, no, we need now roll calls, yes.
Well, we need to move this as amended now.
Okay, so move as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and we need a roll call for that now
We don't need
because,
a roll call, just a show of hands.
show of hands, even with online.
Oh, now that she's online, you're right, we need a roll call. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Mayor.
No, you're good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, I love it.
Getting it.
Okay. Counselor Gilly,
Yes.
Counselor Klepak,
Yeah.
Counselor Green,
Yes.
Counselor Krigbaum,
Yes.
Counselor Beal,
Yes.
Counselor Harard.
Yes.
The vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Okay. And that, okay, perfect.
She just did.
She just did, yeah.
did.
Should be good.
Yeah.
All right. Now, moving on to Resolution 170, 2025.
Accept the annual report for the Seton Tower Affordable Housing TIF District.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Okay. Cornell, you want to give us a backstory of what we're doing here?
Well, just that we need to submit reports to Maine DECD on TIF activity. So it's a report for each TIF district we have. And even if there's no activity and nothing has happened since this was developed, you still have to file a report. And you've approved the previous reports on the other TIF districts. So this one is just showing all zeros, and we'll submit it after you approve it.
Any questions? Seeing none. Can I get a roll call, please?
Counselor Gilly,
Yes.
Counselor Klepak,
Yeah.
Counselor Green,
Yes.
Counselor Krigbaum,
Yes.
Counselor Beal,
Yes.
Counselor Harard.
Yes.
The vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
All right. Thank you very much. Moving on to Resolution 171, 2025.
Adoption of the city council goals for 2025.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Okay. Councilor Green,
Yeah.
would you like to kick us off?
I'd love to just say a few words about this. So the council met in March to talk about our goals for the year. And for a variety of reasons, we're just now having the discussion of approving our goals that we discussed at that time. We now have a full council, finally. So that is important as we're considering how we want to move forward. And we're at a pivotal moment. As we've said, we're looking for a city manager. And so it's important that we're clear about what we want that individual to achieve for us. I found it interesting in looking at last year's goals and this year's goals. They're very similar. And I was happy to see that we did achieve some of those goals that we had last year. We invigorated and restructured the Comprehensive Planning Commission. That document is now complete. We created a land bank, we did not create a land bank authority, but we did establish a housing revolving loan fund. We worked on the ever-present goal of economic development, which is, as we know, complex and evolving. But the report that Cornell Knight mentioned earlier that Colby just released about Colby's investment in the city shows that that, among other factors, has led to a lot of growth in the city, including more businesses, more people here. I think some of our goals have to do with other factors like continuing to get jobs that are higher paying jobs, and also just creating the environments that we need in the city for people to thrive. So with that, I want to say one more thing, and of course we have emerging issues that we need to address, and one of those is the loss of Inland Hospital, which is on this list, as well as advocating for state and federal support of municipalities, which is becoming increasingly important, and supporting the city staff with wages that make those positions competitive so that we get the best staff we possibly can. So with that, I would like to hear what some other councilors have to say about our goals, and yeah, that's it.
Any comments or concerns with the goals we discussed in March, or you discussed? Well, we have discussed.
I think with the top priorities that we have listed in our actual goals, some of the important ones that we kind of prioritized above others was the assessment and learning of many aspects of Waterville, including commissioning a housing study, assessing the need to address rent controls and price gouging within the city, and to assess impacts of recent federal government policy changes on the city. Many of those are even more so needed now than they were when we first had decided that that was what we wanted to prioritize this year. And I think we're heading in the correct direction with some of the discussions that we were having, and I think we're on the right track. And so I'm happy to say that this seems to be aligned with one of our goals at the very least. So,
Councilor Beal.
So I was not involved in the preparation of the goals, and I was wondering, what is the process that we follow during the course of the year to track progress against these goals? Do we bring these issues up every quarter, or I was just curious?
I smell a committee.
Well, I think it's a great question. And I would say that in the past, we haven't done that, and we certainly should. And I think the city manager should be sharing the goals with staff and talking about how we can achieve them, and if there are things that are barriers to that, that we should hear about that as well.
Usually what happens is, like, we will go over, like at the council retreat, we'll go over the prior year's, goals and what we were able to achieve and the things we weren't able to achieve. So I think that, and what we've been able to achieve, I think, obviously, we're going to have some wins and losses, success and failures, but I think at this point, I do think that we are on a great trajectory of success, but quality does take time. So.
Yeah.
planning is essential, certainly articulating a shared vision. The retreat is important. I agree with Councilor Beal that we need to have more accountability structures. But what has been hobbling us is that we have an extremely effective interim city manager. We don't have a city manager that is committed to the city for any length of time here. And having a city manager that can look at that set of goals and understand what kind of personnel, what kind of structure or restructuring needs to happen in the city government, and then bring that to us so we can give that person the resources to put those personnel in place. That is the first step. So yeah, there needs to be accountability. The city council needs to come up with a committee structure or some kind of process, like ask the city manager to put some kind of process in place that tracks progress on these various goals. But I'm twisting this again into an appeal I've already made tonight to the rest of the Waterville community. Help us get the personnel that we need in the city so that we can actually get a stable set of city upper admin and put these goals into action, because we're not going to make progress on these goals. This was back when Brian was here, and we haven't had a city manager that has been committed to us since we first developed those this last round of goals.
Councilor Beal.
I'll take an action to just bring this up every 3 months, and we'll go through our goals. We'll take a few minutes and say where we are, because we've made a lot of progress, but what I'm finding is it's really easy to get distracted. So I think having a regular, just take 5 minutes, go through them. This is what we're doing on each of these things. Because if they're important enough for us to document them as goals, we ought to, talk about them every now and then. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I often see this as a blueprint for the city manager and the administration, right? So we have, you have your comprehensive plan. These are the things that are important to the council, which means they're probably important to the folks that live in your council, which is why we bring them up, during this retreat. And really, this is the blueprint for, a city manager and the administration to draft things, resolutions and things, changes that, that the council would then turn and vote on. So, yeah, like I think you're absolutely right. A check-in, once a quarter to see how things are progressing in these areas, I think is absolutely valid. And the minimum we could do, I think like as we look at this, we start to see these goals take shape. I think you'll hear progress in city manager reports, things of that nature. So, but yes, I agree wholeheartedly with it. At minimum, we should, talk about these as a collective group on the quarterly basis. And I'll make a note to make sure that we parking lot this and we get it on the agendas, going forward. Councilor Green.
I just want to flag one area that's new in our goals, and that is related to communications. And this has been kind of a theme that's been growing over the last, year or so. The importance of telling our story better, of communicating with residents, and that in turn will hopefully improve community trust from the people we serve. And so I think that's, to me, a very important factor to think about when we're looking at our administrative staff, and somebody who can guide the team to really make sure that people know how to find things, get information, that they're being informed. We've made great strides in that area too, I believe, with the alert system and the website. But that's an area, a new area to focus on.
Any other questions? Cornell?
So my plan would be to share these 2025 top priorities with department heads at the next meeting so that they know what direction and areas the council wants the city to go. And then we used to do it in previous jobs of every 3 or 4 months or so, have staff prepare comments on anything that they are doing that works towards one of the goals, and then just bring an update to the council for your review and comment, and then just do that a few times a year, and then the next year you meet again. But involve the staff on what the council's goals and how the work that they're doing is accomplishing the work you want to see.
All right, thank you very much. Any other comments? Seeing none, all, what are we on here? All those in favor? Sorry, I need a roll call.
Counselor Gilly,
Yes.
Counselor Klepak?
Yep.
Counselor Green,
Yes.
Counselor Krigbaum,
Yes.
Counselor Beal,
Yes.
Counselor Harard.
Yes.
The vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
All right, moving on to ordinance 172, 2025.
Amend the Haynes Charity Fund Ordinance, Chapter 35.
Move to adopt.
Second.
All right, let me bring this up. Thank you. Okay. Bill, who's this? Who wants to give us, Cornell, you want to give us a little update on this, or Bill?
Bill, you want to give an update on why we're amending this ordinance?
The city finance director was reviewing the finances of the Haynes Charity Fund and noticed that we had some language that requires the council to each year review the amount to be distributed on a monthly and annual basis. And it seemed rather dated, and we checked, and it turns out that the council had not been reviewing this on an annual basis. And we looked at it further and thought there's really no need for such language, that the Haynes Charity Relief Committee, in consultation with the finance director who oversees the fund, should be able to set an appropriate amount for distribution on a monthly and annual basis. So we're just recommending that that language that was put in many years ago when $1,500 a month was probably an appropriate amount is no longer needed.
Great, thank you very much. Any comments, questions, concerns? All right, seeing none, Patty, can I get a roll call, please?
Counselor Gilly,
Yes.
Counselor DeBritto, I'm sorry, Counselor Klepak,
That's me, yes.
Counselor Green,
Yes.
Counselor Krigbaum,
Yes.
Counselor Beal,
Yes.
Counselor Harard.
Yes.
Vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
All right. Next up, ordinance 173, 2025.
Adopt a temporary moratorium on mobile home park lot rental increases.
Move to adopt.
Second.
All right, great. Okay, listen, this has been, a tedious process for a lot of folks, a lot of them here in attendance, and, for myself and Representative Julia, we've worked on this quite a bit, Cassie at the state level, and then once this is done, we tried to do what we could to assist the best we could in this situation. So what I'd like to do, just to kind of kick us off, is I would like to Representative Julia to come up and just give us a kind of a 10,000-foot view of what we're doing here and why we're here, and we'll go from there.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi there. All right, this is such a big topic, and there's so much information. I'm going to do the best I can. to pare it down as much as possible, but please stop and ask questions if you have them. Essentially, what's going on here in Waterville is we have a situation where residents live in these parks. We have two parks, licensed parks in Waterville. They're both in my district. When residents own their homes, but not the land it sits on, their housing depends almost entirely on the willingness of the park owner to be fair. Unfortunately, this does not seem to be the case or the priority for the private equity firm that owns the parks here. Lot rent has nearly doubled in the last 6 years, with 4 straight annual increases, and the last 2 years have seen at least 20% or more increase, okay? The most recent lot rent increase pushes the rent for the lot only. We're talking about lot only. This has nothing to do with the home, the utilities. This is simply to rent the plot of land that these homes sit on. The most recent proposal brings the lot rent to $600 a month, and that would go into effect on September 30th of this year. Even for the people, the many people living in these parks that are on a $1,200 a month monthly income, okay? It's not hard to do that math. And this is not including any utilities, property taxes, nothing. This is strictly lot rent, okay? Combined with the mortgage on the home, taxes, insurance, and utilities, families are completely stretched to the breaking point. I have been hearing from a lot of these fine people for well over a year, well before I became a state rep, back when I was only on the planning board. We've been hearing about these issues, and I know that a lot of you have too, okay? So combined with those, we are at a breaking point. I honestly think that every year we're hopeful that maybe this will be the last increase, but with 4 consecutive increases and them getting bigger every year, I don't really trust that there is an end in sight. So that is a situation where I think that is appropriate. It's appropriate for the government to step in, for the people whose job it is to protect the citizens of this city to step in and do something, okay? And I would like to say that despite the name, mobile homes are not that mobile. It costs between $10,000 and $15,000 just to move your home. That doesn't include the land, where you're gonna land, the cost for whatever that new space is. This is simply just to move your home, if it is even new enough to move, okay? After a certain point, you cannot move the homes, okay? So we're talking about people who are stuck here. With no end to increases in sight, we are truly facing lots of people who are staring down the barrel of foreclosures and homelessness. This year in the legislature, I introduced LD 1765, which, among other things, contains the option for municipalities to adopt model language at the state level that involves lot rent control. This language will not be available until December 30th, 2025, which is after the most recent rent increase will take effect. So that is the reason for the request for the moratorium. I and a lot of other people in this town, not just the residents of the parks, support this moratorium. It will pause the rent hikes long enough for you guys to review the model language in my bill that will come down from the bill to decide if it's a good fit for Waterville, and then allow you enough time to make that decision and then pass it or not pass it or come up with another solution in the interim. So I would like to encourage you to give the families a fighting chance and join me in supporting the moratorium. Please let me know if you have questions.
Any questions? Okay.
So if the moratorium passes, what happens to the current rent? Does it just stay the same as it is right now?
Yes.
And
The new rent control, which brings it to hike that brings it to $600 a month would not take effect for 6 months.
Okay.
Anyone else have a question? Concern? Yes?
So I am fully in support of this. I'll just come out and say that. But I do have some questions. I just want to know a little bit more.
Happy to
Yeah.
answer.
So the LD that you introduced, what is the term of that legislation?
It's still being written, so there's a committee at the state level that is putting together the language, and so the language won't be ready until December 3rd. So in the bill, it was written so that the language will be complete by December 30th, 2025. So this increase is slotted to take place before the bill outline requires the language to be ready. So we don't have that language yet, which is why we're looking for a 6-month moratorium to allow 3 months for the language to be written, and then it gives you guys 3 months to review the language and decide if it's something that is a good fit for Waterville.
And what do you anticipate would be the term of?
Well, so my hope as the author of the bill and as somebody who's helping and writing the language, my hope is that it will be a general outline that leaves certain parts open to the cities that are adopting it. Because across the state, what we're experiencing here in Waterville isn't exactly what they're experiencing down in Wells, and it's not what they're experiencing in other parts of the state. There are 600 mobile home parks in Maine. Only 150 of them are owned by private equity firms. So this is a widespread problem, but it's not a universal problem. There are a lot of great landlords out there that are providing a great service to their residents. That just doesn't apply here. And so the hope is that the model language will leave some flexibility. It's already adoptable option to adopt, so it's not a mandatory thing. So cities like Waterville can bring it on, whereas maybe Augusta doesn't have an issue, so they don't need to worry about it, right? Hopefully the terms are left vacant for specifics, like how much the lot rent control would be. Some cities could see a 10% would be a good fit for them. Some places down south, I heard it expressed like a 2% increase would be acceptable. I personally think that's a little bit too limited to allow businesses to function within the parameters, but ideally, that would be left open for the municipalities to decide what's best for them. How they manage that within the city would be left open.
So the city gets to set that percent?
That is what my hope is. That's my goal in
Yeah.
this process.
Gotcha.
At the state level.
Gotcha, yeah. And
so it can be tailored to what works for us.
Yeah. And so then just another maybe speculative question is how, at the state level, how are you anticipating that this legislation will impact the sort of appetite for the development of new parks, right? Is this going to be a break on that, or is this going to, how would it encourage that or support it at all? I don't imagine that it's going to.
That's a great question.
I mean, because these kinds of parks can be very predatory. They can be, rough traps, but they can also be an only option for many people. And we do have housing, a lot of lower income people who need housing, and these are a solution for some of them. So I just wondered how, in the construction of that at the state level, you envision it will impact the sort of landscape, if you will, of.
Yep. So I think that that's actually something I put a lot of thought into. This has been a well over a year-long process for me and for Mike, and there's been a lot of discussion, and Rebecca and stuff. So the last thing that I would want to do, and I think a lot of other people who are working on this issue either at a municipal or at a state level wants to do, is to create a self-perpetuating situation where we're either forcing sales to private equity firms, like where, you have local owners who like can't afford to keep, their business running or whatever. We don't want to self-perpetuate. And we don't want to discourage situations. But the last thing that we want to do is allow for predatory situations when we're dealing with a demographic that we're dealing with. The 30, generally speaking, broadly across the state, the bottom 30% of income owners are the market that we're talking about here. So this is if it's done properly, it's a very valuable, excellent form of starter home or retirement home. It's truly fantastic. But the problem is Maine's never really been a desirable, it only became a super desirable destination and investment target in the last 5 or 6 years. And so what Maine does not have are a lot of the consumer protections a lot of other states that fit that category have. So we are just sort of playing catch up. And what we're seeing right now is the sort of transitionary time between like no need for that and like, uh-oh, we have to address this or else we're gonna create a whole bunch of other issues. But I would think that the industry, if I were a part of the manufactured housing industry, I would want to solve this problem, because what's happening now is that we're seeing a reputation get established for this being a predatory situation, this being a trap, this being a very bad investment. And that's not what I think a lot of the park owners that I've met that are doing it right, that's not what their intent is, and that's not what the situation is. But when you're looking at 20 to 30% of the parks in Maine are falling into this category, we're getting into some dangerous territory. I think Waterville has a great opportunity to set a precedent and an example for other towns that are struggling with this. This is a very widespread issue across Maine and actually across the country. There have been quite a few reports on NPR and various other countless news outlets about this. So it's a challenge, and I think that we have really found a very agreeable solution. Hopefully it is.
Councilor Beal.
You guys are testing my knowledge. Thank you.
I have a bias against private equity. I've experienced them in my past life. I know that there are private equity firms that are good and some that aren't. My concern now is I'm in favor of this, but it's the next steps. How do we manage it as a city council? This is, what's acceptable, what's not. I mean,
that's why
what's our next
the
step?
model language will cover a good portion of that. For the reason why we're doing it, like hopefully at the state level we'll provide model language is they will provide us with those solutions, and then we can adopt it. It makes it easy. The reason why nobody is really addressing this at municipal levels is because of that question and that challenge. And so what we're hoping is that at the state level expertise that will provide, the platter of options and make it easier for us to manage that.
Isn't this a problem with other types of facilities, private equity coming in and buying up apartments?
Oh yeah, totally. But definitely we should talk about that another time, because it's a huge problem and it's a huge concern. I would say that the number one marker of a private equity firm that is predatory is that they essentially are turning whatever their target is into a cash cow. If this most recent lot rent increase goes into effect, we are looking at this company, since it's bought these properties, making close to $100,000 more a month. Not $100,000 a month, $100,000 more a month, off the backs of people who do not have that in their budget. So we are literally talking about ATM. They are being used as an ATM.
Councilor Green?
Well,
you were next.
okay. I mean, I guess I would, I'm also in favor of this. I think it's a very conservative approach to this difficult problem. And the fact is that we need the support of the state to help us with this. This is complicated stuff, and I want to thank you for introducing the bill and for your colleagues for passing it. So we're waiting to see what that language says and determining for ourselves, for our community, what makes sense. And I just want to echo that this, the question of private equity firms buying up rental units is a problem. But here we're focused on something very specific, which is lot rental increases for people who own their homes. And it is predatory and inexcusable to raise the rates at the rate they've been going. I just want to read them out. Since October 1st, 2022, rent was $375. It went up $35 the next year, and sewer was added to the cost. The year after, it was an additional $90, plus water and pet fees. And the following year, this is what we're looking at now, a further $100, bringing it from a month. And this is to rent the land on which your home sits that you own. So that's all I want to say. Not okay.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Councilor Kriegbaum.
Yes, my ward is the one that tends to have these lots on them, and I can say for sure that the emails that I've received from people who live in these mobile homes, and even conversations I've had with my family members who've looked at moving into them and seen the crazy amount that the lots have increased and all this stuff, this is one, extremely egregious in my opinion for the amount that has been raised, but also the individuals who are living in these homes as retirement homes or as starter homes, or just they don't have another place to go. This isn't an option between, oh, well, I need to find a new place to live. It's this or nothing. There's no safety net, there's no support, there's nothing beyond this for a lot of these individuals. And so just letting these numbers just ramp out of control as they are now, even if they didn't increase at this amount next year, but maybe half of this amount, would still be so far beyond acceptable that these individuals would just be on the streets or worse, who knows at this point. And I've worked with Cassie and I've worked with others on the council, and I'm fully in support of this because this is just predatory beyond anything that we could possibly even understand. This is not acceptable in any way, shape, or form. And so this is a point where we do have to step in. And you're absolutely right. There are private equity issues in many aspects of not only just Waterville, but Maine and many other aspects of the U.S. as a whole. And those are wonderful conversations that we can talk about addressing at a different time. But this is very, very focused, and it's very specific, and it's to just get this through as fast as we can to help those who need it the most. And so I think I implore everyone to agree and to pass this, because I think it is so important that these individuals need this help. And this just makes sense.
Thanks, Spencer.
What would...
Councilor Beal, do you have something you want to add? I'll go to you next, sir.
Again, I'm concerned about next steps. My understanding is we're going to postpone it for 6 months or until the legislature finishes their...
Nope, what you're voting on tonight is just a moratorium. So what the next step is, you can discuss at a later date. Right now, you're just pausing the lot rent increase so you can explore other options. My hope is that the model language that my bill produces will be the option that is acceptable. But if that's not it, then we can work on something else.
What would you say, because I mean the word precedent was set out, and I've had conversations, wouldn't that be a precedent in regards to words like rent control? Mm-hmm. How are we to decide on what somebody is to charge, telling a business, a private equity or whomever, what they can and cannot do?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that I hope that I have established the difference between a predatory situation and just a situation where it's a bummer that your rent goes up. So if you have a rent that goes up, there is no doubt there are challenges associated with that. You need to come up with your security deposit and your first month's rent. You need to find a new place. Those are barriers, and they are not fun. You know, if you're in the housing world like Rebecca and I are, it is definitely something that is talked about a lot as a solution. Like, we need solutions for that.
Right.
However, that's like a problem that's here. This is a problem that's like way up here, because we're talking about people who have mortgages on these homes. They are basically faced with an option where if they can no longer afford their rent, what do they do? And if you ask everybody in this room what they would do, their first answer is, we would move. However, the situation that is being created is a situation where sales of homes are becoming next to impossible. When you're, I mean, we all know what it's like when you're like, go to buy a house and you're looking at the mortgage, is this amount? Then you add on the property taxes, like, whoa, okay? So we're not just adding on property taxes here, because these people do pay property taxes on their homes, okay? We're talking mortgage, property tax, plus lot rent, okay? So $150,000 home becomes very unsellable at that point when you're tacking on $600 extra. And the real reason, it's not even like, I don't want to pay that, you don't want to pay that. You literally cannot, it knocks your debt to income ratio so out of whack that the demographic of people who need these starter homes or these retirement places to land can no longer qualify for the loan once you add in the $600 a month plus the property tax. The debt to income ratio is so skewed that the sales are no longer possible unless somebody's paying cash, which we all know is not very common.
And was a representative from the mobile home park, were they made aware of this moratorium and it being on the agenda for tonight? Yes?
Yes, they were.
Yep.
In fact, I believe his representative's online.
Excellent. I will also say that a representative from the governor's office, housing office, actually the housing director, Greg Payne, reached out directly to them to explain the laws that are in place, and part of the reason for the rent, like why, to seek out possible other solutions. So, I mean, that's the other beautiful part about the moratorium. If for some reason the owner is like, you know what, our bad, let's just do a $20 a month rent increase, we don't need to talk about rent control, right? If a corporation can self-regulate and not take advantage and not create a massive homelessness issue, then we don't need rent control. So this is strictly just the final possible option, because we are looking at a situation that is going to be catastrophic for a lot of people. There are 290 homes owned by the city's last count by C37 Corporation. So between their two licensed parks in Waterville, one is in Ward 5, one is in Ward 7, which is Kathy's ward. Yeah. Between those two parks, there's 290 homes. Okay. Yeah.
Scott had.
Yeah. Scott.
I'm not sure who to address this to, but has the city ever done this before?
Moratoriums, yeah.
A moratorium or?
A moratorium on rent increases for any organization. I was just curious.
No.
To my knowledge, no.
Not to my knowledge.
We've never needed to. This goes back to, we're in a new situation where Maine has never had any laws to protect people because we've never been a target. Back when lot rent was $200 a month, you didn't need lot rent control. And yes.
Can I ask you, as a next step, somewhere in the state legislature to perhaps go after this on a bigger scale, predatory
yes,
rent
we
control?
This is
provide guidance for the rest of the real estate community?
No, I don't. I would like to keep this conversation specific to lot rent control, because that is what we're dealing with here. Don't want to open it up to something that doesn't apply specifically to this situation. But I will say in the legislature, there's a whole rainbow of opinions And so I'm sure you could find somebody there that would either be for or against whatever you would like them to be for or against.
Well said.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments or concerns? Bill, please.
Just to address what I believe Councilor Gilly was driving at, which is how do we have free enterprise, how do you determine what is an appropriate rental increase? Portland has a general rent control ordinance. Old Orchard Beach has a mobile home park lot rental increase ordinance, which I reviewed. It is 54 pages long. I certainly hope that if in fact the city of Waterville adopts one, it will be considerably shorter. But the methods of determining a rent increase, essentially, it could be that if the park owner proposes an increase, there is some review process before the city, which might be a small panel. Portland has a 7-member committee. I believe in Old Orchard Beach, it's actually, there's an arbitrator picked. Or it could be that if the lot owner, the mobile home park owner proposes an increase and a certain number of residents file a petition, then it is subject to the review process. So it's not automatic. You can have it so it's automatic, or you could have it so it's not automatic. And both of those ordinances state that the owner is entitled to a fair return. That language was challenged as being too vague in the Portland ordinance, and the Superior Court overruled that and found that that was sufficiently definite. You have to look at a variety of standards. For example, if a mobile home park owner says, I need to increase, I've got 100 units, I have to increase it by $50 a month because I have to do X, Y, and Z for improvements, and they're going to cost so many hundreds of thousands of dollars. And here's what we're earning now. If you add that to it, we're losing money. And in other words, it would be a back and forth process, a review looking at the situation to determine so that the owner, under our free enterprise system, is entitled to a fair return on investment. And there has to be somebody to make that type of decision. I can see how it can get too complicated. Portland, with its 7-member committee, strikes me, being in a much smaller community, as perhaps rather complicated. I believe in Old Orchard Beach, it's a single arbitrator who makes that decision after considering the evidence offered both by those lot owners and by the owner of the park. So just try to give you an idea, and whatever the state produces, we look at, and if we wish to, well, first of all, you can decide you don't want to adopt it, but if you decide you do, you wouldn't be obligated to adopt verbatim what the state produced, but that's a model, it is a guide. And it is a complicated subject. It's got a number of moving parts. Having looked at a 54-page ordinance, it was quite evident to me that we were not going to be adopting something here before this proposed lot rental increase went into effect, particularly when you consider that an ordinance we adopt does not become effective until 21 days after its final reading and approval by the mayor, and which you need to keep take into account if you are considering passing this temporary moratorium ordinance, because there is very little time before that lot rental increase would go into effect.
Yes, Councilor Pipek.
So this is the question about the timing again. You said that it would go into effect something like December, at the end of December.
No, the lot increase is the end of September, right? Yes.
The law increases September 30th. The model language is available after December 30th.
Yeah, that's right. In the new year, we would see what the language is. And so that's 4 months off. And if we have a 6-month moratorium and a 21 window on the butt end of it, that really gives us 1 month. I won't be here, so it's your problem, but.
It's 3 months. 3 months. 3 months minus the 21 days, so.
3 months minus.
January, February, March.
This proposed ordinance sunsets on March 1st.
Yeah.
The state is to produce a model ordinance for consideration by municipalities by the end of the year. That gives the city a 2-month period in which to adopt an ordinance if it wishes. If the model language is out before the end of the year, we have additional time.
Yeah, but you said that it takes 21 days for whatever we pass to go into effect. And so for there to not be a gap, say we passed it at the second meeting in February, right? There would be 21 days from that, and there would be a presumably, whatever, a small gap of time in which these private equity companies would be free to do what they want with the rent, right? Or am I not understanding that correctly?
The moratorium is, oh, sorry, go ahead, Bill. With the lawyer answer.
That's proposed subsection 2D states, this ordinance is repealed effective March 1st, 2026, comma, unless extended by ordinance amended adopted by the council.
Yeah.
You know, we're way out in front here, and you know, you don't like the March 1st date, you can pick another date. I was asked to draft something.
Yeah.
I drafted one. I didn't want to make this proposed moratorium any longer than required, but at the same time, since we don't know exactly when this is going to come out, and if it ends up being delayed for some reason, then this council might be looking at an extension. On the other hand, if the ordinance comes out a little, proposed ordinance at the state, model ordinance comes out earlier, we may be fine for March 1st and might have something adopted before March 1st.
Great, I just wanted to make sure the timing was there.
Sure, it could end up being a tight schedule. It could be that it's fine. It's just too early to know.
Yeah.
But that's why I put in some language that says unless extended.
Yeah.
But it's important to have a sunset. If you're saying you're putting a freeze on something, it's got to have an expiration.
Yep, I agree. Okay. All right. With that, this is a 2-vote
Does anybody
process.
from the public want to? Yeah, public.
Yeah, some people here.
Have the public an
Okay.
opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, okay,
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
sir. We have the support. That's it, so, okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Brady, and I am a resident of one of these parks. I just wanted to say, you folks are asking questions on how we can control this. One of the things that I would like to say is that a rent increase should be commensurate with the services provided to the people in the park. And right now, our park owners, basically, they plow the roads, you know, there are access roads in the winter, and that's it. We don't get anything else from them. They had promised us an activity center for the kids. They had promised quite a number of things, and none of that has come in. They've also gotten themselves in trouble for adding more units in that they weren't supposed to be adding. So really, that is all I really wanted to say, is that one of the aspects should be, you know, if you're going to increase the rent, provide commensurate services to the residents of the park. That's my piece. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right. Anyone else? All right. All right, with that then, I will ask for this is a 2-vote process, so.
So there's no hands raised.
Okay,
Okay.
Thank you.
There are 2 people on.
okay.
Okay.
With that, I will take a roll call because we have, for the first one.
Counselor Gilly?
Yes.
Counselor Clepac?
Yeah.
Counselor Green?
Yes.
Counselor Crickbaum?
Yes.
Counselor Beal?
Yes.
Counselor Harard? Counselor Harard? Counselor
Yes.
Harard, sorry, thank you. 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. All right, moving on to the rest of our agenda this evening. Those are the last things that we're going to vote on. So now we move into a couple of discussion items. First up is the Impact Task Force update. Cornell, I will turn it over to you, sir.
Okay. The Impact Task Force has been meeting pretty much every month since I started in May, so we got kind of a late start from when you initially adopted the resolution back in, was it November? December. So
It's okay. Happens all the time.
So at our meetings, we were discussing the services and resources available to the homeless, and we discussed and identified a bunch of the weaknesses that we see in those areas. And they involve paramedicine, transportation, landlord engagement, housing vouchers, and challenges created by closing of the warming center. So after identifying those weaknesses, we worked on goals to address those weaknesses. And you can see on the second page that we've got 6 goals listed there. And each of the goals identifies back to the resolution that the council adopted back in December. So we will address the transportation, the warming center, and the paramedicine, and addressing the working with the landlords. And so before we started to address strategies in the goals to meet those weaknesses, we wanted to update the council to show where we were headed and to make sure we're on the right path before we start having speakers in and experts in to guide us on the goals. So I just wanted to review this with you to see if you had any issues on where the task force is headed, and answer any questions if there are any.
All right, great. Any councilor questions with regard to the update?
Okay. Oh, and I would like to thank Chief Bonney for manning the whiteboard and really getting us on track on the weaknesses and the goals. It's really been a big help to the task force. So thanks, Chief.
Awesome. Great. Yes.
Yes, thank you to the task force. This is really very clear and actionable. I appreciate the time it's taken to get here. I just have a question regarding closing of the warming center. My understanding is that that center will be open this winter. I don't know if there's anyone here from the homeless shelter, but typically we've had a warming center from November to April, and that's helped immensely in the winter months. So just wondering if anyone has an update on that. Looks like Chief Bonney has one.
So that particular goal refers to what happens when it closes? That particular goal refers to what happens when it closes in the spring.
Okay.
So they had, I think, some nights upwards of 100 people in there.
Right.
And so what do we do with those folks when they close in the spring?
Okay, great, thank you. And then I'm wondering about what the task force has in mind with positive engagement with real estate investors. Does that mean, what does that mean in this context?
Can I take? Go right ahead.
So I think in that particular case, that's a fancy way of saying outreach to the landlords.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
and that was terminology that was suggested to us by folks that are in the business. And so that's
Okay.
why we did that. But we really do want to engage the landlords and, work with education.
Right.
And there's also a conversation with Dr. Katie about doing a study with our intern. So the police department intern will work together to do a study about landlord-tenant experiences.
Okay, so you have an intern in the police department who's working on this?
We have an intern most semesters. We have an intern currently,
Oh, okay.
and the fall semester intern will be working with Dr. Katie to look at this issue.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Any other questions? Any other discussion? Thank you very much, Cornell. I appreciate it. All right, next up is the city manager search timeline. We all got this. Anything jump out at anybody? Any questions or concerns with regard to the updated timeline as to when we go out?
I should have had this on when we had Dawn here.
Oh, yeah. No, that's fine.
But, so I did want to get it out to you just to make sure you were comfortable with the dates.
Golden.
Mm-hmm. No, that's good to me.
Yep.
All right. Very good. With that, then, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you very much.